Yes. So almost exactly a little under a year ago, we had a resident who came to us with a request to post a warning sign for uh, autistic children in the area. And in research, I come to realize that we really didn't have any kind of formal process for really any of these disability types of signs and how to apply them consistently. So went out, did a fair amount of research, and I'll give the city of Buffalo, 99% of the credit. This is their form with this is their form with our letterhead across the top of it. So took advantage of all the work that they have done. And it is consistent with, like I said, what was the impetus behind this was the children with autism, but we also chose to look at the deaf child as well as the blind child situation. So what I will kind of bring your attention to, and it's really the criteria for this, is fairly straightforward, but is important. The first thing is that they have to, the requestee has to provide a completed application, of course, and they need to provide a note from their doctor that says that, this is a verified condition. And then once those two things are provided, then we go through these 4 criteria. And these are actually established criteria by the New York State supplemental to the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And they are just as simply, is the child with autism under the age of 18? Does the street traffic have less than 2,000 vehicles a day? So to kind of put that in context, if you assume a typical residential street, which is kind of what the characteristic they're talking about here, in the peak hour, you wouldn't expect more than maybe 100 or 200 vehicles at any one time. The speed limit has to be 35 miles per hour or less. And again, the big kind of the overriding criteria here is the roadway has to be residential in nature. So we expect to see we don't expect to see a lot, but we would expect these types of signs to be posted in areas where, it's a residential neighborhood at play. And assuming that is all met, it goes through the approval process. We do require the applicant to come back to us every year and sort of confirm that they are still residents on that street and that their child is still 18 or younger. Without that verification on a yearly basis, we then have we have the availability to remove that sign. So there is some onus put back on the applicant to just keep us abreast that they're still present on the street. And at the bottom, there's just some of the resources that we've used to pull this together. But again, this is sort of one of the many formal processes that the engineering department want to put in place to be consistent across the board. So this is sort of our first toe into that pond right now. Any questions?
Anything from the board?
Is there any plan to consider other potential aspects? I know I've seen some signs about, blind children in the area or blind person. Is there a process for other types of scenarios like this?
I would think we could apply this same situation. So this is primarily, and I will admit, or I will this is very much geared towards, I guess, a minor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the impetus, but I don't know that we actually have a. I would have to look into what criteria would have to go into if we were going to consider for, say, an adult.
Sure, just curious.
Yeah.
How would the
Thank
parents get these? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Go ahead.
How would the parents get notified that these are going to be available?
Well, we don't have a formal advertising process. I do have a resident who has been waiting for us to establish this criteria.
No, I think this is fantastic. I am 100% behind you. My question, my concern is how are parents with a deaf or blind child or autism, how are they going to know about this availability?
Yeah, I mean, it is, I mean, I think, we could, I don't know how, efficient it is, but I mean, our website is certainly a place to start,
Yeah.
certainly.
Have you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just, I mean, I requested to do this here at a board meeting workshop to start that
Yeah.
acknowledgement.
Oh, that's
right?
great.
Like it is just a policy that, a policy, it's not a policy, it's a process that we've developed within the engineering department. But I wanted to bring it to the board's attention and the public's attention as well.
It's
Luke would be-
fantastic.
I think Luke and Bridget would be great resources for this. Facebook, the website.
I don't know if it goes out into we have regular correspondence that go out, right, to the community.
It could be in Webster Today. There's
all kinds of
a page in the newsletter.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways.
Yeah, we have our e-newsletter that goes out every month.
The
All of the above.
e-newsletter as well.
This may be a crazy idea, but our school district, I'm sure, is well aware of all their students and any disabilities they may have.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to throw it out there that perhaps we contact the school district and see if they would be willing to work with us to get this information out. They don't necessarily have to let us know who the student is, what his disability is due to HIPAA,
Yep.
but there's a resource that can directly send these applications to the parents of these people. That's
Yeah, no,
just
John,
an
I think
idea.
I think that's a good idea because you're avoiding the HIPAA of like, it's
Correct.
not saying, hey, we want a list of the students with it. It's saying, hey, school, take your list
Here's the application.
Please make
Send it
sure,
out,
like,
please, on
through
behalf of the
parents
town.
where they all get it. Well, that's a good
And I
idea.
don't think the town would have a problem in paying the postage either for those.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
No,
a fantastic thing that you're doing
We
here.
we have I mean, as part of our, I mean, we're in I'll call it very deep coordination with the school district anyhow on the Webster Transportation and Infrastructure Project. I mean, we're meeting with them regularly just for coordination purposes. And certainly the superintendent is at those meetings, so
Yeah.
he seems
Yeah.
like you'd be the right person to start with, right?
Yeah,
So
put it
yeah,
out
we
there.
can definitely do that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we would need to mail these hard copy either. They could mail them through the digital.
They just do parent square and yeah, they don't mail anything home really much.
Just make sure
I'm-
that they're
I'm
aware of
old
where to
school.
go to find it. Yeah.
Mail them.
Yeah.
Get with the times, John.
Keith, would you have these available, I'm guessing, at the building department where you turn in and pick up permits? Or
Yeah, we can do that. Yep, we will. Yep, we hadn't until we had this conversation, but yep.
There's
absolutely.
about 10 different ways, so we're good.
There we go.
Yeah, I think we're covered.
Got all that, Luke?
Well, I think Keith, thanks I know you rescheduled this from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because we ran long, so thank you for that. Just
No.
a couple questions.
Yep.
Like when residents apply, what's the time frame? Do you think? Like, what's their expectation? Should it be like,
Yeah, so I would expect engineering would be the intake
Okay.
on this. And certainly we'd work with the highway department. They would be the ones that would actually, do the installation.
Yeah.
So I mean, these signs are all fairly standard, they're not a unique sign, they're not a unique, so, I would hate to speak for the resources and scheduling of the highway department, but I don't think it's months.
okay. I
You
mean, that's
know?
why the big thing, hey, it's less than 6 months,
Yeah, oh, yeah, I would, like I said, I'm not speaking out of turn without, Pat here from highway,
Yeah.
but I would think that's a reasonable.
Okay. And then can you see, like, if it was to get denied, would they be able to appeal, or is it just like denied and done because the criteria is so,
Well, I'll tell you, the criteria is set by New York State,
yeah,
right? So And that, I believe I incorporated in your packet, that amendment that came through. It's a pretty set criteria
Yeah.
by the state to, so we would hold to it.
Yeah.
The only place I would see this get is if someone says, well, I live on Hard Road, and I would say, well, you're definitely gonna probably not meet the criteria
Yeah. Due to traffic and the,
due to traffic and
yeah.
that kind of a thing. It's in not keeping within that characteristic that's expected for these signs. But I would expect, outside of that, most if not all residential communities of some, neighborhoods and stuff meet this.
What does Buffalo do for that situation? Do they do any kind of appeal or like in like that Hard Road thing? Do they do like the town board can issue a waiver to kind of be like, okay, it's a quasi residential road and the traffic's high, so like.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you with the with the city of Buffalo. We reached out and they referred us to this, and
Yeah,
once
just
we
like check
found
it
it,
out.
we're like, oh, this is gold. We'll take this and run with it. So
Okay.
Have you sourced I'm sorry, Gary, are you done?
You can go while I take my notes.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to source a vendor to come up with a cost per sign, maybe?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
Well, there's 2 sign companies in Webster, just to let you know.
Yep.
Okay.
That's good to know. I'm sure. Again, that would be a not to shirk the duty, but I mean it would be something I would expect. The highways team was probably we have our own sign making abilities at the highway department. I
Really?
believe. Mhm.
Another thing I'm just learning tonight. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I believe.
I'm
it's-
sure
Learning's
these
about.
signs
Jennifer
have
knew
to.
that though, didn't you?
I did not know that. I'm the
Okay.
highway
you
liaison,
an
and I will
opportunity.
admit that I did not know that, but I do now. But I have to believe these signs have to meet a certain standard. They have to be a certain kind of metal. There has to be a certain reflective device. So I
Well,
trust
anything
if they
issued by
make
the state,
them,
you know,
they
is
would- What's that?
anything issued by the state, you know, is going to be,
Well, yeah, I mean, the
and it should
the
be.
characteristics of the signing are more it's more of the lettering and symbol of has to be standardized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get into all kinds of types of, they can be just a standard reflection, reflectivity, high reflectivity, it's the myriad of things. I mean, I don't, if I were to think back, I'll go back 10 years ago when I was doing this kind of work. I think we used to say it was about $150 to buy and install a pedestrian crossing sign. So,
That means it's triple that now.
hey.
Or more.
At the very least.
That was only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You said 10 years
I know,
ago.
I did.
That means it's probably 5 times,
Yeah,
but whatever.
Yeah, it's gone up. It probably has gone up, but
And then, so what's the process to figure out like what other signs? You just gotta kind of keep that on your radar of what other ones might be applicable to add.
yeah,
Like
I
Nick
mean,
was
we
saying.
can, I mean, when it comes to, so regulatory signs, stop signs, things like that, yields, anything that's got a more regulatory, and again, those are going to be the ones that are like red or whatnot. The manual of uniform traffic control devices has a very specific criteria of how you implement those and how they go in. Warning signs are a little more subjective, or can be a little more subjective. But we can certainly, and we can add more to this. We can create a greater library of standardizations of how we apply these signs. I don't, based on my experience, I mean, other types of signs that you might see are curve signs, and those are it's pretty obvious why you need a curve sign, right? And usually curve signs can or cannot come with a sort of a recommended advisory speed limit, and there's a very standard process for setting
I'm
that
sure,
speed.
yeah.
So, and pedestrian crossing signs are, like I said, for the most part, they have actually also some prescriptive ways. You install an actual crossing sign at a crossing location, and it has one look to it, and then you can install advanced crossing signs, in advance of that crossing for greater visibility, and they have a little different look.
Okay.
But certainly we can keep our mind open to other unique situations.
I would
These are
imagine if
unique.
somebody had a different sign that they wanted to request, they might approach it via this form and they can be evaluated as they come in as a request.
Yeah, that could,
And then Keith, I would assume that's gonna be on highway to take them down if they don't like recertify. That'll be on their
yeah,
list of like,
ultimately, yeah,
Yeah.
they are, yeah. Yep. Yeah, or if they become damaged or, whatever,
replaced, yeah.
replaced, yep.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.